Mellow greetings, everybody. My name is James. I am from the internet, and it is another beautiful day in the neighborhood as we follow Donald Trump's last-ditch attempts to stay in power, where he can continually hide behind Bill Barr and the DOJ to stave off prosecution in both criminal and civil courts around the country. So, I know one of his favorite last-ditch attempts has been voter fraud. Voter fraud! Voter fraud! There's voter fraud. There's a tremendous amount of voter fraud. There's at least 6 million votes that were fraudulently cast. Wait, how much did I lose by? 5.5 million? 6 million votes that just should be thrown out. I don't know. I skimmed around ye old internet, and I actually found some examples of potential voter fraud. And I thought, rather than listening to the constant droning of Trump talking heads who just in front of any microphone they can get to just keep like squawking the same 3 lines like, voter fraud, Biden stole the election, and then they like go, and they go and they fly away. So I thought I would take a look at actual stories about actual voter fraud that might have actually happened, rather than the hypothetical bullshit that your racist grandfather sends out on fucking chain emails to his other 83 friends who also don't know how to use the internet. So, what's going on in voter fraud land? Apparently it's real, much like the struggle. Luzerne County resident facing voter fraud charges after accusations of submitting absentee ballot application for deceased mother. That does indeed sound like voter fraud. Let's find out what's up. A Luzerne County man is facing voter fraud charges Wednesday night. Investigators say he signed the name of his deceased mother to an absentee ballot application. Luzerne County election officials say they notified the district attorney's office. Election officials also say this is an example of how the system worked, how alleged fraud was spotted and stopped. Most importantly, we saw it, we caught it, and that individual is now being prosecuted, said Luzerne County manager Dave Pedry. Pedry is talking about the arrest of 67-year-old Robert Richard Lynn from 40 Fort on voter fraud and forgery charges. According to Luzerne County detectives, Lynn admitted to signing the name of his mother to an application for an absentee ballot. The problem is she died in May of 2015. Yes, once again, there is actually a system to spot voter fraud. I know, again, your racist grandfather and all the Trumpers out there would have you believe that there's like 8 Democrats sitting in a basement with like a ballot printer just going, just spitting out thousands of ballots a day, licking a stamp, throwing that shit in a mailbox, and all of a sudden Biden's got 6 million votes. Y'all do know they actually have a database of actual registered voters that they actually compare the ballots to? I assumed everybody knew that because they all seem to be experts on fucking voter fraud, because it's all I hear nonstop over on the Parlor and what's left of the grandmas over on Facebook. So I thought this was a well-known thing. Lynn had to give a reason on the application for an absentee ballot as to why, posing as his mother, she could not vote in person. According to an arrest affidavit, he put on the application, quote, visiting great-grandkids. I mean, that'd be kind of creepy if your great-grandmother had been dead for 5 years, just shambled up to the front yard and was like, nah. So, somebody attempted voter fraud and got caught. I wonder what else has happened in the world of voter fraud. Oh, local social worker released on bond after being charged with 134 counts in election fraud investigation. Kelly Reagan Bruner, a social worker at the Mexia State Supported Living Center, has been charged with 134 counts in an election fraud investigation involving the registration of 67 of the facility's residents. This is in Texas, by the way. She's accused of submitting voter registration applications for the 67 residents, quote, without their signature or effective consent while purporting to act as their agent. And she got caught. You know why? Because they have systems in place to catch voter fraud. Yes, and those systems are not named James O'Keefe and clever video editing. It's called voter rolls. Yeah, you compare them to ballots and applications. It's pretty easy. Let's see what the hell else is going on with all this crazy fucking voter fraud that has apparently gotten Joe Biden 6 million extra votes that he didn't actually get. Let's see. Doe! Postal worker recants claims of fraud cited by Trump campaign. You hate to see it happen, folks. You hate to see it happen. Pennsylvania postal workers recanted claims that supervisors attempted to backdate ballots mailed after the election, according to congressional aides. The false allegations were cited by the Trump campaign and top Republicans as examples of voter fraud impacting the results of the presidential election. Richard Hopkins, a postal service worker from Erie, Pennsylvania, alleged that he overheard supervisors discussing a plan to backdate mail-in ballots for Election Day. By the way, this area of Pennsylvania near Erie a few weeks ago is also where a postal worker was caught purposely not delivering the mail, and he just had it strewn in bags on his front patio, and it turned out he was a QAnoner, and there were registration applications in the bag that he never bothered to deliver. But again, tell me more about this voter fraud and how Joe Biden fraudulently got 6 million extra votes, because I would love to hear more about it. The Trump campaign, which, like the president, has rejected the results of the election and alleged widespread and unsubstantiated voter fraud, passed Hopkins' account to Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Lindsey Graham, who referred the matter to the Justice Department and the FBI. But Hopkins walked back his assertions when questioned by federal investigators with the Postal Service Inspector General's office. The Trump campaign, which cited the allegation in a federal lawsuit filed Monday to prevent Pennsylvania from certifying the state's election results, was caught off guard by the news of Hopkins recanting his allegations. Wow, so far, 2 people tried to commit voter fraud and got caught, and then a third one committed voter fraud by lying about voter fraud. Yeah, but somehow Joe Biden got like 6 million extra votes and Donald Trump actually won the presidency. Yes, this is what he'll have you believe. Now I joke and I kid, but there is a serious side to this. There is a problem, and we're going to bring it up real quick. Every time Trump makes an allegation based on some half-baked tweet that he sees at 3 o'clock in the morning, or, some YouTube video put out by Project Veritas sometime in the first 2 weeks before it gets debunked and then everybody knows it's garbage. And then he just runs with that shit. And then he tells Bill Barr, he's like, Bill Barr, go file a bunch of legal injunctions, based on this tweet I saw. And Barr doesn't give a fuck. He's like, okay, sure, I'll go do that. And then they go up to the podium and they talk about how they have a tremendous, tremendous amount of lawsuits making their way through state courts because they know that eventually they want to get those kicked up to a federal level where Donald Trump has placed 1/4 of all federal judges on the bench in the last 4 years. And then in the hopes of obviously kicking it up to the SCOTUS. This is the plan because he has no other plan because, again, it's not like he's going to write a fucking concession speech. Trump concedes nothing. So the problem that you're getting is that the fantasy land that Trump is building, talking about these false claims and all the bullshit that hasn't actually fucking happened, the problem is that his minions and muggles latch onto that shit and go, look, it's fraud, it's the damn demon craps. Yeah, look, President Trump said it, so it must be right. Damn demon craps. And that shit circulates on Grandpa Book and wherever else for weeks and months, and people believe that shit and they regurgitate it. And this is problematic because essentially what Trump is doing in his desperate attempt to stay in office is he's completely eroding all public confidence in the entire U.S. election system, which at that point basically invalidates the U.S. government and the concept of the United States of America. But again, melting down the United States of America into a giant pile of smoldering slag is a sacrifice that Donald Trump is willing to make in order to not have to concede or admit that he lost and he is a loser because his giant man-baby ego can't possibly comprehend that shit. So this is the problem you get. This stuff stays online and recirculates, and before you know it, your next door neighbor's talking about, I saw there were 186 proven incidences of voter fraud in which George Soros was seen at a postal station carrying sacks of mail like Santa Claus. And it's true because I saw it on twitter.com/thismustbetrue. So as we hurtle towards the eventual date when the electors meet and all the state votes get certified and it all gets passed on to, I just want you to remember that this is going to keep happening. And I want you to focus on the instances of, quote, voter fraud that actually get reported by actual journalists and actual news outlets that aren't funded by Donald Trump or Steve Bannon or somebody like that. And compare that to all the bullshit fantastical tales you're hearing from your racist uncle's chain emails, okay? Just a couple of tidbits before I go, and some good news, because I think you all are going to like this. In Pennsylvania, whereas we saw the postal worker already recanted on his fantastical claims that he saw widespread election fraud by his supervisors, it looks like somebody actually went through the transcript of the early hearings of Donald Trump attempting to get votes thrown out, and it kind of looks like this. Judge, are you claiming that there is any fraud in connection with these 592 disputed ballots? Trump attorney, to my knowledge at present, no. Judge, are you claiming that there is any undue or improper influence upon the elector with respect to these 592 ballots? Trump attorney, to my knowledge at present, no. This is what most of the Trump lawsuits look like, people. They're fishing expeditions. And they're just throwing shit against a wall, praying it sticks, because Donnie Trump doesn't have a prayer in hell. I guess he has one prayer in hell, and it would be Amy Coney Barrett, but I guess that's a theological conversation for another day. Last little tidbit of good news for you before I tiptoe out the door. Also coming to us from Pennsylvania. As of this morning, Biden's lead in Pennsylvania has moved outside the margin of error. And now any recount in Pennsylvania will have to be paid for by the Trump campaign. The very same campaign which is still sending out 25 emails a day to all their followers asking for money to pay off their election debt, because the Trump campaign has no money. So now, if they want to fund a recount, looks like they're going to have to search around the bottom of the cookie jar or in the couch cushions. Sorry, Don, does not look like it's going to happen today. So that's what we got for today, people. In the meantime, you got 2 months left till Donnie drives his bloated juvenile ass back to his golden tower of shit. Until then, keep your eye on the prize and know what the hell is going on, all right? My name is James. I'm out. Peace.